Okay, who is more likely to be aware of the benefits of exercise? In my humble opinion, some kind of gene-environment interaction is also in place here in this example. So, it seems that people who buy into the concept of genetization and people who buy into the concept of epigenetics think from different angles. People who buy into the concept of genetization believe that genes forms the basis of our identities. And page 421 of this book explains epigenetics as the regulation of gene expression caused by environmental influences. And epigenetics are inherited. And the subsequent slides will show you how and why epigenetics can be inherited. And as you can see from the diagram below, our external environment, our social conditions affect our genetic makeups, and this in turn affects our health. So, in other words, our external social environment interacts with our genes through epigenetics. And epigenetics is a somewhat new concept in the field of biology. I'm sure some of you know that. And I've been through this many times. Our education, our income, our occupation, and other opportunities afforded to us determines where we are going to live. And this in turn determines our support system. Sometimes it's a no-brainer. We mingle with our neighbors. And the type of neighborhood we live in determines whether we are going to exercise or not. Some neighborhoods are safer than others, and some neighborhoods have gym, have parks, have sidewalks for people to exercise or to cycle. And if that's the case, exercise can lead to some kind of epigenetic regulation that improves our DNA methylation. This in turn increases our responsiveness to insulin, and this led to some change in gene expression, which facilitates muscle oxidation and regulates our glucose level. And all this ultimately lower our risk for cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, stroke, diabetes, osteoporosis, and so on. This is what we mean by epigenetic regulation. It is essentially the addition of metal CH3 to the cytosine component of the DNA, and this is going to lead to the conversion of cytosine, but the DNA sequence is going to remain unchanged. And this is what we mean by DNA methylation. It is the addition of metal CH3 to cytosine in our DNA, and this lead to conversion of the cytosine, and eventually it creates two cytosine in diagonals. So, what's the benefits of DNA methylation? First, DNA methylation can deactivate the X chromosome, and with that, it facilitates random selection of chromosome X from either the mother or the father. And DNA methylation can also facilitate better genomic imprinting. So, what is genomic imprinting? Think of the root word imprint. It means we press certain traits or attributes from one source onto the other. So, genomic imprinting means one gene is expressed while the other is being suppressed during the sperm and egg formation. And because of that, DNA methylation can also lead to better embryonic development. And DNA methylation can also help maintain the stability of our chromosome. And DNA methylation can also suppress certain genes like retroviral genes. Through gene suppression and through maintaining chromosome stability, this can prevent certain diseases or certain kinds of cancer. And we've been through this many times. Our education level, our income level, the type of work we do, and the other opportunities afforded to us determine where we are going to live. And sometimes we get our support system from our neighbors, from people in our neighborhood. And all these in turns determine whether we are going to be aware of the benefits associated with exercise or not. All these, our education, income, occupation, and where we live is going to affect whether we are going to know that exercise can improve DNA methylation, which increase our protein turnover, restore the molecules that control muscle functioning, which ultimately delay muscle loss and muscle weakness, especially as we age over time. So, our education, income, occupation, where we live is going to determine whether we are going to be aware that exercise can eventually prevent age-related muscle weakness or muscle loss. And once again, our education, our income, our occupation, other opportunities we have in life determines where we live. And this in turn determine whether we are aware of the causes of sarcopenia or age-related muscle loss. Our education, income, career, or other opportunities determine where we live, who we mingle with, and this in turn determines whether we know that decrease in stem cell or mitochondrial dysfunction or decline in the protein levels in our system or even hormonal deregulation can contribute to sarcopenia or age-related muscle weakness and loss.